Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Elizabeth Elaborates. I got my tea here. Today I want to talk about my concussion because I got concussed right before I turned 18, and it is still one of the most pivotal experiences of my life. I don't want to beat a dead horse. I feel like I've told this story before, not that any of you guys would ever have heard it, and I honestly, I don't talk about it that much because it's something that I don't think I can really convey the seriousness of to someone just in passing in a daily conversation. And I don't want to be like, no, you don't understand how awful it was. But there's also a lot of funny things in this, like how I got asked to prom, going to the carnival with a concussion, starting college. So much was going on in this time of life for me that I look back on it and it is just like the eye of a hurricane. It is insanity. So it all started back in May of 2021, and I was on a trip with my choir because I'm a choir kid. And we went on this trip, we went on tour, we did a ton of concerts, singing at different places. We sung at like a juvenile detention center. Crazy, that is a story in and of itself. And so one day we went to a college campus and we sung with their choir and we had like a session with them and they like helped us out and stuff. And then we went snowboarding or skiing or sledding, whatever you wanted to do. But it was not snow. I don't know what it's called, but it's fake. And it's not, I expected like fake snow, but it's literally just plastic, but it's solid as concrete. So you guys can see where this is going. And I have never snowboarded before, never skied, and didn't have a helmet on. I'm with like maybe 25, 30 of pretty much my best friends, and we're just having a day off from singing. So we're going up this hill, and my one friend who's actually a good snowboarder, he goes up to the top and he's coming up and down doing whatever. I don't know. He's snowboarding on this plastic uh, flooring material. I don't know how to explain it. Look it up. And so he goes to the top, and I'm like, okay, I can do that perfect. I'll be amazing at that. Because my personality, I'm very just like full send, balls to the wall, let's do it. And I'm like moderately athletic, so I felt like I was going to be fine. And I go up to the top of this mountain. It's not a mountain, top of the hill. And this was like the third option. There's like a tiny one right outside of the place where you get your board so you can practice. Then there's like the medium one, and then there's the top of the hill. So I went to the top, didn't have a helmet on. I've said this, I feel like 20 times already. And I go down, I start freaking zooming. Like, I don't even have the vocabulary. I was flying down the hill. And I'm looking at all my friends, like flying past me in my peripheral vision. And also, my memory on this has not come back from the concussion. So a lot of this is what I've been told happened, and some of this is my very foggy memory. So I think I remember seeing people go past me in my peripheral. Not even sure if I remember that or not. So all of this is like dodgy if it's true or not. But no, it's true. It just is whether I pretended it's my own memory and I've just absorbed it as my own reality, or if I actually remember it for myself. So I get to the bottom of the hill and I need to stop. I don't know how to stop. Did not occur to me until that point, I guess. So this is what I heard happened. My toe caught because I tried to turn to stop, as I've been told by my chaperones. I tried to turn. The toe edge of my board caught. I did like a flip in the air, like a twist flip thing. Ended up in the air, like, I don't know, like a foot or two in the air, and then just fell straight onto my back. And it was like my upper, like my shoulder blades area, neck, back, right there. And I just slam. And apparently, I gave a thumbs up. I'm laying on the ground, gave a thumbs up, and then I just passed out. So this is all what I've heard. At this point, we're really entering the territory of this is what I've been told. My friend who was the actual good snowboarder, he comes down, he starts taking the board off my feet. And I'm like kind of in it, I'm kind of out of it, but my chaperone, Mr. Tom, love Mr. Tom, he told me that I was screaming as I went down the hill, and he was like, it wasn't like a "ooh, I'm having fun" scream. It was like maniac, like this is gonna end badly scream, like I'm scared. So I guess they take me over to like the bench, and all my friends start like gathering around me, and as the chaperones have told me, I'm screaming my mind out. I'm screaming for my mom. I'm screaming for my family. I can't feel my hands. I can't feel my hands. I can't feel my feet. Mom! And I was like losing it. So I started having a full on panic attack, as I do. Very on brand for me. And at that point, when I start screaming that I can't feel my hands or my feet or something, they decide to call the ambulance. So I get carted away in the ambulance. All my friends are leaving in hysterics because that's like they're witnessing me, I don't know, almost die, almost be paralyzed. We don't know what's up with me yet. I'm laying on the ground. They're trying not to let me move. And they call my mom. And that made it 100 times worse because I'm hearing my mom's voice. And they just hung up on her and they shipped me away to the hospital. So, cool part of the story, my brother was dating a girl at the time who lived in Virginia. We were in Virginia. I live in New Jersey, so I'm like 400 miles away from home. The night before on this trip, which I think is a terrible idea, they let me leave the hotel with all from my whole group and go get ice cream with my brother. Because we're like, hey, what are the odds? We're both in the same state, but we're not traveling together. So they remembered, I think her brother's here. So they call my brother and tell him, hey, just go to the hospital because your sister she's going there now. So I meet my brother at the hospital. He's a nurse. His girlfriend at the time was also a nurse. And because we're like in his school area where they went to school, the nurse that I had in the hospital was in some of his classes. So wild, wild, wild connection. And I don't remember anything at the hospital. Literally, I can't even tell you one thing that happened. I remember trying to remember my nurse's name, and I was basically on like factory reset every couple minutes. So I'd be gone. I kind of come back to it, and I'd be like, "What happened? Where am I? What's my nurse's name? What happened?" And then it would be that over and over and over again. So it was a little spooky for my brother, but I still don't remember his name. I think his name was like Paul or something, but that's probably not true. So I get all these tests done, um, you know, whatever the usual concussion stuff is, and they discharge me from the hospital. My brother calls his girlfriend. We go stay at her house, and there was like a mattress upstairs for me. They like tossed the mattress on the floor, and she gave me some of her clothes, which was really nice. Um, and I just slept. And I cannot explain to you how bad my head hurt. It was like, it kind of felt like G forces, like right when you start a roller coaster and like everything is like crushing down on you. It kind of felt like that dizziness, that pressure. But I literally thought that if I tilted my head one way, my brain was going to start leaking out of my ears. That is how just like pulverized my brain felt. It was unbelievable, and it just felt like so much pressure, like it was going to explode, it was gonna leak out, and I was terrified. So I'd sleep and my brother would have to wake me up every so often to make sure I'm like actually still alive. And at some point I decided I could shower and get out of the clothes because I hadn't, it's probably like 2 days at this point that I haven't showered from the day before of doing choir stuff and then snowboarding and then hospital overnight, not overnight, but throughout the night. So I need to shower. And I just remember it taking like every ounce of my determination to get up out of that bed. And I was so nauseous, I could barely move. I was like, I'm going to throw up. I'm going to pass out again. it is just like persevering through the pain of death to get off of my mattress on the floor into the bathroom. And I got in the shower, and his ex had like a shampoo bar. So I think it was a shampoo bar, or it was a normal bar of soap, but I remember dropping it in the shower and just not being able to bend over and pick it up. I was like, my brain will come out of my eyeballs and my nose and my mouth if I bend over. And my head will explode. My skull will like crack open. And I watched this bar of soap dissolve in the shower drain. And it is such, for as messed up as I was this entire time for literal months, that is one of the most vivid and like sad memories of my entire life that I have, is just like standing in the shower, being in the most pain of my life, watching this bar of soap dissolve. So I kind of am like, I said it's a shampoo bar because in my mind that makes me feel better that it dissolves faster than a normal bar of soap. But I don't know how long I stood there in the shower, just staring down, watching this thing. It was like, I don't know. It just like is so sad to me that like I could not bend over and get this bar of soap up. And I got out of the shower, went back to bed, and I like apologized to her. I was like, I'm so sorry. Like I melted your bar of soap. Like I can't. And I was so upset over it. And the next morning, my brother and I were like, all right, we're calling it. We have to go home. So we went to the hotel that all my friends were staying at. Like that next night, because I felt like I had to prove to everyone that I'm still alive, because I know I just traumatized all of my friends and all of these chaperones and my choir director. So I went to the hospital. I went to the hotel and I just said, "Hey, give me the choir director and the chaperones. Meet me outside in the parking lot." And I just sat on the bench there for like 10 minutes with them, and I just remember asking everyone. I was like, "Were you there? Did you see what happened?" And they were like, yeah, I rode up the hill with you. I was right behind you." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then the next one, I was like, "Were you there? Did you see what happened?" And they were like, "Yeah. Like, I took your snowboard off. I was holding the phone when you were on." And I was like, "Oh, wow, thanks." And I just did that to like everyone. And they were all like, "Yeah, we were right there with you." And I had zero memory. And I remember my choir director, and she was always a bit of like a chatty, just like woohoo type of person. And she was just talking, talking, talking. And I just remember being like, this is just washing over me. Like, I cannot pick up a single word of what you're saying to me right now. And I just kind of nodded. And all of the pain was so overwhelming at that point. And I just was like, okay, I gotta go. So they brought my suitcase down, um, put in the car, and then my brother and I drove from Virginia to New Jersey, 6 hours, no stops, just one straight shot, which we don't usually do it like that. And I was just trying to stay still in the car. I was like, please don't hit potholes. I was like, please don't hit anything in the road. And he was like, I'm trying. But it was awful. So this is May of 2021, like the first week of May. A few weeks later, I turn 18. Of course, I'm not doing anything for my birthday. I have I have a video of my friend dropping off a gift for me. And I was like, man, that's so nice. And then I have another one of that. And I was like, oh, that's so nice. But all of these memories are like, I was very alone. I always was like in the dark. I had curtains over my windows. I wasn't in this room that I'm recording in. I'm in my other bedroom at the time. I had my curtains closed. I had blankets hanging on the windows so that it would be like pitch black. Any noise hurt my head. Any light was like knife in my eyeballs, or like a knife in my eyeballs. So painful. For months. I remember getting a concussion training when I worked at a summer camp, and they were like, give it a week, and if you have a headache, go back one step, and then if you don't get a headache for 2 weeks, go. And I was like, 2 weeks? I had headaches for months, and my sister also had a concussion. She never recovered. Like, she has migraines every single day. So that was also living in the back of my mind, that I was like, we're about to be two sisters with migraines for life, and this is going to take all of my quality of life away. And I definitely have like some some form of like survivor's guilt in a way of like, why am I like, my concussion went away. My concussion is not so bad. And here we are, 10 plus years later with my sister as if it was day one of the concussion. Like, why is that? Why is life like that? So that somebody answer me that, like there's nothing there's no reason, I don't know. So I'm at home, I'm isolating myself, I'm in the dark, everything hurts. And a few weeks go by, we get to my birthday. A few weeks go by, we go to Hawaii. End of June, we go to Hawaii. Definitely still had headaches. I remember like looking out of the hotel window and I saw this beautiful pier um that kind of connected to the beach, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, we have to go run on the pier." So I begged my brother. I was like, "Please." He's a nurse too at the remember. So he's like, "You should not be running. Like, you have a concussion, you should not be running." And I'm like, "I know. I literally have a headache. Let's go for a run on the pier. This is like once in a lifetime opportunity. Let's do it." So I convince him, and we just go run on this pier. One of my favorite memories is my first Strava post. We got to the end of the pier, you just saw like beautiful fish, just beautiful ocean fish, like Dory, Nemo, like fancy type fish. And it was just like a great little run. So that absolutely zonked me out. Should not have done that. I know that was a bad idea, but it was a good memory. Um, and then we get to July, still having headaches. I decide to go to summer camp for a week with my friends because it's like I'm a senior in high school. This is my last opportunity, and it was like a high school summer camp. So I know a lot of that's like that doesn't exist everywhere, but it was a thing. A lot of my friends had done it all the time, so I was like, let's do it. We go to summer camp, great time, a lot of headaches, and this was kind of the turning point into depression. Haha. I remember one night I was like totally overstimulated and overwhelmed by all of my friends because we're in a bunk room of, I don't know, like 10 of us. Like they were big bunk rooms. And I was like begging my leader. I was like, please, like, let me go outside. Let me stargaze. Like, I was trying to make it like a fun thing of like, let's stargaze, please, let's do it. And it took me a long time, like years after the fact, to realize that my motivation for doing that was actually that I was like depressed and I needed alone time and I just needed wind down, quiet time. But she came with me and we walked down to like the edge of the lake and we just laid in on the ground, just on our backs, and we stargazed for a while. And it was probably one of my favorite moments of that whole week of summer camp, and it's the one I remember the most. And I also remember it because it was the slowest conversation of my life. You want to talk about comfortable silence? That conversation comes to mind. She would say something. We were laying out watching the stars. It's like midnight. It's just us. She's like a bookworm, awesome person. I loved her. And she's kind of like philosophical, whatever. So we're laying there, we're just like asking these big questions, and then it would just be silence for a minute. And then I would add my little phrase in my reply, and then it would just be silence again. And it was just the most comforting, quiet moment that I needed to relax and just be done with everything. Because I was so overwhelmed by this whole week of camp. And at that time, like, our family friend was dying. So, you know, you're the people that work at the summer camp, they're like, get off your phones. You can't be on your phones. There's no. And I kept getting yelled at from my phone. And I, like, looked up and I was like, this person is dying. Like, I'm checking my messages to get updates on, like, if they're coming out of their coma or not. Like, that was frustrating to me, too. Like, I don't know. That week was really rough. Like, that was a not good mental health week for me, but it was fun. So that's July. August, I start college. And August, I don't remember anything about August except that the last week of August I started school. I commuted to school, so I didn't have like a big move-in day or whatever, but I was totally overwhelmed by the first week of class. It was wild. And in a lot of ways, it was great. I met a lot of people, got really, like, into my routine, or I don't know. You're just finding your place in the world during the first few weeks of school. And I was kind of expecting something really different from my college experience, and I was just like totally being tossed by the waves of like what I expected and what I was actually experiencing, and I just totally got flipped upside down. I felt so insecure about what I knew, about what I was studying, about who I was, about what I believed. Like everything just got tossed up into the air and just juggled that entire first semester. I was like, everyone told me I was going to do great. Everyone told me I was a great student. I had great grades. Everything's going to be easy. I'm so easy to get along with. I'm going to make friends. And none of that was like falling into place for me. So I was totally overwhelmed. I had like a really bad professor experience where my professor was like saying he's a demon and he's demon possessed, and he would get up in your face and like point his finger right up like almost at your nose and your eyes, and he'd be like cussing you out. He'd be like, I'm a freaking millionaire. You think I need to, and like just cussing out the entire class. He's like, you think I need to teach you? I'm a freaking millionaire. And I was like, all right, so if you don't need to teach us, don't teach us, because anyone in the world would be a better professor than you. So I ended up getting my class changed, which they prepackaged freshmen. So that was like a whole debacle for me to figure out how do I switch a class that got assigned to me. So I went to the registrar, I did that whole thing, and I just remember like walking back to my car across campus, and it was raining, and I was just like crying in the rain. And I was just like, this semester so far is going so not to plan, and I just kind of had to let go of everything, and just kind of start over from square one. So that was August, September, October, November, and in December I was still having headaches, and I had convinced myself that it couldn't have been from my concussion. So I went to the eye doctor and I was like, hey, I'm really struggling to see in class. I think I'm like squinting and I think I'm having headaches from that. And she was like, you have 2015 vision. Your vision's perfect. Where are you sitting in the classroom? And I was like, front center, baby. Like, not really, but definitely close enough to the board that it should not have been giving me a headache. And I was like, I got a concussion in May. And do you think? And she was like, oh, that is definitely it. That's definitely why you're having headaches. It's probably just residual from your concussion. So I was like, man, it's December, and this is still taking over my life. So that was kind of when the pain started to fade into like January, and the next semester my pain was over. So then it was kind of like depression, and a lot of that came after the fact. But I'm going to get to this prom story because prom also happened during that time, and I completely forgot to say something about it because that was in, what month was that? I want to say that was in June. Um, so me, of course, I procrastinate. I didn't have a prom dress in advance. So I went to a Macy's with my mom, and I just remember being like in such a like motivated mood of like, we're going to do this. We're going to get this dress. And I tried on a few, and my headache just started to like build. And the last one, I was like, this is definitely, it's like, this is the one. So I tried it on. I was like, oh my gosh, it's perfect. But I wasn't having like this great experience of like, this is my prom dress. This is beautiful. This is the moment. I was like, boom, looks good. Let's go home because I need to lay down because my brain is going to start leaking out of my ears again. So we did that. Kind of like riddled with bad memories when I look back on those photos. That's the whole thing. I had to like mourn all of this time after the fact, after my depression, after I came out of depression. Then I still had to go back and look at all my photos and be like, let me like grieve these times because they're really painful moments of like things that should be good for me to look back on. And all of my friends from that trip were going to prom. All of my friends saw me dying, not really dying. We joke. Well, we don't even joke because it's not a funny topic to us, but we always say like, oh, like you died on that trip. So they all knew I shouldn't be texting. They like literally were like, don't text Lizzie, don't check in on her. She can't be on her phone. She can't do anything. So I had literally 1,800 unread messages on my iMessage. I had 1,800 messages just to prove to you how much I was not on my phone. Didn't check it. I couldn't watch TV, couldn't do it on my phone. I would just play my ukulele and I would sit in my room and sit in silence. That was pretty much it for months of summer. So, having this in mind that no one on that trip is supposed to come, even text me, I get a knock on my bedroom door. My mom is like, Lizzie, someone's here to see you. And my heart drops. I can just tell by the look on her face that this is not like, oh, like your best friend is here. And I go outside and I open the door. And this kid from choir is at my door with a whole potted plant. A whole ass potted plant. Not like a bouquet of flowers. A potted plant. Because he worked at a greenhouse. So he was in my choir with me. So he knew, don't text Lizzie. She's in a terrible state of life right now. Proceeds to come to my door and ask me if I want to go to prom. I said yes. Because I was trying to get this freaking thing over with, and I could not even like understand the words that were coming out of his mouth. I was like completely dissociated. I had just woken up from a nap. My mom literally woke me up from a nap to tell me he was at my door, and I had a blanket on over me. I like took off my eye mask because I sleep with an eye mask, and then I came outside to go talk to this kid, and he was like my friend, whatever, nothing crazy. And my grandma pulls in the driveway with Frosties from Wendy's. This is just by chance, by happenstance. What are the odds? So my mom comes out and she's like, Grandma brought Frosties over. So now me and this freaking kid, who I don't like at all, and then like you asked them to prom, and there was like this weird dynamic of like we would kind of flirt with each other, but we both knew we did not like each other, and we would just kind of like play games and whatever. And it was so messed up. And later I learned, this is the tea, he was literally dating my friend that whole time and asked me to prom out of like to spite her. Is that not insane? I did not know that until way later. I was like, what the heck? So he literally asked me to prom to spite me, or to spite her, and knew he should not be talking to me because I was in like a medical crisis, concussion. And so I said yes because I was freaking like not in my right mind. And we sat on the patio and ate Frosties. And I just remember being like, I want to die. I need to get out. My head hurts so bad. I'm going to throw up. Like, I'm going to fall asleep. I can't understand words. That was the biggest thing that kind of confused me. Sorry, I just crashed my claw clip. Maybe you guys heard that. But just the way that I could not hear words. I would literally almost see them in a jumble in my vision, and they just would not hit my ear, and I just could not understand it. So that was kind of that conversation with him. And because I'm the biggest not people pleaser ever, what's the opposite of a people pleaser? A people disappointer? I'm a people disappointer. I call my best friend and I'm like, look, this just happened. This is like a few days after the fact. Like, what? This just happened. I don't know what to do. And she was like, I thought you were going with me. And I thought we were like going as the girls, like the 4 girls. And I was like, oh my gosh, we were going as the 4 girls. So then I was like, all right, now I have a legit excuse because my friend is actually disappointed that I said I would go with somebody. So I call this kid up. I call him. This is like, people pleasers are shaking right now hearing this. And I told him, I said I would go to prom with you, and I'm not going to go to prom with you. And I undid my yes. I unsent the message, guys, in real life, in real time, on the phone. I said, look, I'm supposed to go with my friends. I totally forgot. Appreciate the flower. I think I threw the flower out, actually, because it just pissed me off. And I said, I'm not going to go to prom with you. Granted, our group was really, really small. So it's not like, oh, there's 500 kids here. You're going to be easily, like, you're avoiding them really easily. It's like, no, they're at the, 2 tables down. They're right there. So that's kind of how it went. Prom was super awkward, but it was fun. I was with my girls. We had a good time. And Anyway, that was kind of a proud moment to me of like, stick to your guns. Like, if you said yes, you can still go back and say no if that's what makes you comfortable. So, anyway, that was summer. And I took you through August and the semester and the eye doctor. Um, and yeah, I don't know what else I can talk about now that I've kind of gone through the entire timeline. I guess I tried to explain how concussion feels like the pressure, the G force, the nausea, um, and side effect of concussions is depression, and it really led me into a terrible time of life. I think 2024 I experienced either depression that matched that first depression or was worse than that depression. So um, I hesitate to say it was the worst time of my life now, just because I had experience last year and I survived last year, thankfully. Um, but I was part of a book club and we read The Yellow Wallpaper. Like after the fact, some months after or a year, I don't know what the timeline is anymore, but it took me a really long time to realize kind of how I'd rewritten my whole personality to uh, ignore the fact that I was depressed. I just claimed I was an introvert, that I didn't need anybody. I'm a loner. Everyone is annoying to me, and I'm just gonna stay in my room all day and not do anything. And I like really stopped talking to every single person in my life. I was a awful friend. I was a awful friend after my concussion, and I would go back and change it if I could because people were there for me and they supported me, and I just did not return any of that affection at all. So I actually wrote one of my favorite poems that I've ever written in my life about my concussion, about depression, because when I read The Yellow Wallpaper, I realized that I saw a lot of myself in that. And I was like, holy cow, this is depression. And that kind of changed the game because now I have acknowledged the fact that, okay, I have depression. Where do I go from here? And I kind of had to like like trace the thread in the tapestry and realize that like me rewriting my personality, me being a loner, I just got really like cocky and independent and really weird. Like I'm ahead of the game. I don't need anybody. All of that was really stemming from the fact that I was depressed, and that's why I didn't want to leave my house. That is why I wanted silence. Like that's why I wanted to just be inside myself and be alone and just melt off the face of the planet. Like all of that cocky ego, all of that being a terrible friend and not responding and claiming I'm an introvert, that was just like the tip of the iceberg coping mechanisms for my mental health. So that unwound like even years after my concussion. A year, 2 years, took a really long time. Um, and even to this day, like a lot of what I learned in that time and like reading The Yellow Wallpaper, like learning about depression, that kind of stays with me. And the depression I experienced last year was very different from that first one, but I don't know if it kind of, I don't know how that works. Like, if you get depressed from a concussion, if it kind of like rewires your brain and now like you can experience that again, because I don't think I experienced depression before my concussion. I really don't. But I've definitely experienced it after. And I don't know if that's just life circumstance or if the first depression paved the way and now it just is an easier rut for me to fall into. I don't know. I don't know the science behind that, and I should learn about it. But I'm not good at helping myself usually, so maybe I'll make that my New Year's resolution is like learn about depression more. Because I have a resolution just to take care of myself. So those will kind of go hand in hand. But I wrote a poem, and that really helped me kind of cope with it. I'll probably post it on my YouTube after I publish this episode. It's one of my favorite things I've ever written just because I'm the most proud of it because I really articulated how I felt. And I'm not good at articulating how I feel, and I feel like I just hit the nail on the head with that poem. And this is also kind of a funny story, but I sent it to one of my friends because they are a great poet and they really got me into poetry. So I sent it to them and they read it to me because I asked that they read it out loud because it was kind of like more of a spoken word type of thing. And I wrote it in a style that I knew they would be incredible at reading. And I was also kind of like in love with this friend at that point. Um, Not really in love, but like that's how I felt. And then it was like a really toxic friendship and stuff. And that was bad. But they sent me this poem and I just like died hearing them read it. And I was so happy. It literally put me over the moon. I was like, this is perfect. This is like the culmination of my poetry career. Nailing a poem, having this person read it, and then them also loving it. They were like, this is so good. This is one of the best things. So that was fun. And obviously, I'm like 18 writing this poem. It's not freaking like Shakespeare, but it's good. And I'll put it on YouTube either way. But I was proud of it for just the fact that I could articulate how I felt after coming out of such a cloudy, foggy, like, who even am I? What was that? Just kind of getting out of this chaos of the last 6, 7, 8 months of my life. Um, so yeah, that was one good thing that came out of it was I got better at writing poetry and kind of gained a little confidence in my writing. But yeah, concussions hurt. They feel like G forces. Oh, well, this is why I think I was saying it was G-Force because in the summer I went to a carnival with my friend. Bad idea. Bad idea. If you already don't like carnival rides because they're sketchy and crazy and weird, um, you just imagine having a concussion. And then I was on that Viking ship carnival ride where it swings and you don't go fully upside down, but you're swinging and it's like, ugh, like you get that like weird thing where you kind of like get squished into your seat by like the force of the, I don't know what force that is, centripetal force, centrifugal force. Professor physics too. Did I learn anything? I don't know what force that is, but it's weird. You feel weird. You feel like you're stuck to your chair. And already my brain felt like it was going to explode. And then I just had that pressure and I was like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I should not have done that. Me and my friend were like, she was so concerned for me. Um and sorry, I got a notification on my phone. My chiropractor is texting me. So, we're going to wrap it up and I got to go to the chiropractor. But that I remember being like, I'm gonna throw up on this carnival ride, and I've never thrown up on a ride before in my life, but I didn't. I held it together. It was so bad, and we laugh about that to this day. Like my friend was just going through her old photos and was like, "Do you remember that? You should not have done that. It was probably medically bad for me. Like I should have gotten clearance to be on that carnival ride, and I didn't." So, oh my gosh, so many things of life were wrapped up in this concussion time. So many good things are just rife with pain and terrible memories, terrible mental health. And that was how I was just like thrust into my 18th year of life. Like, welcome to adulthood. So I really grew during that time. I think I had already been kind of like ahead of the game in a lot of ways. Um, I used to complain to my mom when I was like when I was 17, because I said, I'm already accepted into college. I already drive. I already did my SATs. I'm already on like my second job, multiple babysitting jobs, and everybody else is just talking, talking, talking. And I was kind of getting frustrated with it because everyone's talking about getting their license. They're talking about taking the SAT and they're talking about getting money. And I was like, I've already done it. Like, I'm already done. I'm on my second job. I'm like driving myself everywhere. I'm driving all my friends everywhere and I'm accepted to college. And I was just felt like I was like, everyone's talking and they're not doing, and I'm doing things. And then I think maybe just that clashed so much the next months of like, I should be in college, everything should be into falling into place. And it wasn't. And all of my preparedness kind of felt useless. So I really grew a lot in when I was 18. It was a really interesting year. A lot changed. Um, didn't expect that to happen, and I'm so thankful I'm better. Sorry, I just did my claw clip again. I gotta put it down. I'm so thankful I healed because I know people who don't heal from that, and it ruins their life. Concussions are a huge deal. I think they're very under, like, they're disrespected. They need to be taken a little bit more seriously. And even like the concussion training I've had for different jobs, I just knowing it how my own experience was and my sister's experience, they do not even come close to what they need to be. Um, I had one friend, random guy, didn't really talk too much. He texted me and he was like, "Hey, you need to be careful." And I think he like boxed or something. He was some sport where he got a concussion and he was like, "Careful, did they tell you how bad it was?" And I was like, "Yeah, they said it was moderate to severe." And he was like, "Oh, wow. You need to stay in bed. Like, don't even read." And he was like this really big dude. He was older than me. And I just kind of felt like, oh my gosh, like, if he's saying it's bad, like, that's really serious. And so I had a few people watching out for me that I actually did listen to. And yeah, I'm just really thankful that I made it out of that time. And that it's in the past. Like, obviously, it's whatever, 4 years ago at this point, I think. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Yeah, like 4 years ago. So it's not too far that it's history, but it's definitely, the chapter is pretty much over, you know? Like, I've learned, I've reflected, and I've grown. So it was a crazy time of life. It just put me through the ringer, and I think a lot of who I am today is because of that, and that forced growth that you don't know what's happening, but you need to persevere and you need to push. Um, that taught me a lot about myself, how my brain works, how I am as a person, how I am as a friend. It taught me to treat people good no matter how I felt. Taught me to be courteous and gracious, not hold up my own like living situation. Like, you don't know what's going on in my life. You know, I just, no, I can treat people graciously no matter what. Like, no matter what I bring with me to a situation, I can drop it at the door and I can treat that person well. Like, that's really what I learned from being a bad friend. Like, now I know how to be a good friend. So, yeah, I'm thankful. I'm so thankful. Even like that whole thing with my brother being down there at the same time. Like, what is that? What are the odds of that? That's God. Like, there's no way. Would I have gotten on a plane? Would my parents have to have driven down? Like, I don't even know what would have happened if my brother wasn't there. And then the fact that he's a nurse, like, oh, so good. There's so many good moments in that, and it just takes a lot of time to go through it and see it. So I don't know why bad stuff happens. It just does, and you got to learn from it. And either you don't learn and you stay the same, and you get bitter, or you push through and you become a better person for it. So I'd like to think I did the latter, but I'm not gonna be the one to claim that. So anyway, concussion at a carnival, awful prom date, and a whole lot of pain. But hopefully that wasn't too much of a downer. Didn't want to bring the mood down, but I don't know why I've just been thinking about it lately. So now it's off my chest. I can lay it to rest. That was a poem, and I'm gonna show them. I don't know what I'm showing. I'm trying to rap or something now, but I'm gonna call it a day. That was a long episode, guys. Thanks for listening. Appreciate it. Leave a rating review. Word on the street is that really helps. So do that. Subscribe to the YouTube. Watch out for that poem coming, or it's out there already. And I'll see you on the flip side. Bye.